Hello everyone. This week is Parashat Korach. Candle lighting for this week is 8:12, and Shabbat is over by 9:21. I'd like to say something about Parashat Korach. We know Parashat Korach is famous about an argument that Korach had against Moshe. And because of this argument, something terrible thing happened. Now, who was Korach? Korach was considered to be one of the greatest people of his generation. He was great in Torah, great in everything. So, and still, we see that he chose to argue with Moshe, not argue, but to disagree with Moshe, and that brought down his downfall. And not only that, what else we see? We see that his whole entire family, died, and even little children died. Chafetz Chaim says that we see that from the machloket, from the quarrel, from the argument and the machloket, that the sin of machloket is such a destructive thing that not only a person's life is in danger, but also it damages the family and everything else. We know Chafetz Chaim continues and he says that we know that that a person gets punished, let's say by bedin shalmata, by earthly bedin. A person gets punished when he reaches the age of maturity. Let's say by boy it will be 13, by girl it will be 12. So he will get, a person could get punished by bedin by that age. But heavenly court, a person gets punished by the age of 20, after age of 20. However, the machloket, but we see that by Korach, and the machloket, the argument that he had, he got punished. Even small children, even small little children, even with this young age, everybody died, everybody went under the ground. How dangerous the quarrel is, how dangerous the machloket is. Now, the number of sins that are associated with machloket is slander, jealousy, hatred, causing public humiliation. So all these things, all these things are core of the evil machloket. Now, in the beginning of the argument, in the beginning of the quarrel, it could be a person, let's say him and his brother, they could get into argument. So it could be legitimate argument, it could be, we could get something solved. But then slowly, it gets into a person, he forgets about the reason why the quarrel began or the argument began. The problem becomes is that the principle that matters. He says, I don't care about money. I don't care about this. For example, he says, you owe me $5,000 or $500. And he says, no, you don't. No, I don't owe you. And they get into argument. So in the beginning, okay, you try to prove him. We try to prove you. But then you think to yourself, a person might think to himself, okay, $500 or $1,000 or $5,000. Okay, now because of this, you're going to separate the families. You're going to separate of brothers and sisters and the friendship, but slowly it becomes a principle. It becomes a principle. You say the principle that matters, and you say, well, I'm going to be a loser. No, I don't want to be a loser. I will get my $5,000 or I will get my $500. And because of that, the argument just continues and continues and continues, and the person loses so much. He loses friendship, he loses the families, they break, the brothers, they separate, sisters, they separate. And all this is because of the principle. Chafetz Chaim says, Chafetz Chaim brings a story. He says that in his town, in Chafetz Chaim's town, there was, there were two families. There were arguing. They get into big machloket and a big argument, and it got into out of control. And the situation got the situation got worse and worse and worse, and it got uglier and bad. So what happened was the children of these two families, the children mysteriously began to die. Chafetz Chaim, he decided that enough was enough. He went to one of the parties and he said, "Listen, don't you think it's time to stop? This is killing your children. Think about your children. What are you doing?" So the person answered back. He told him, "Rebbe," he said, "I will bury all of them, but I'm going to win. I'm going to win." Now, the story of Korach teaches us how we can, how dangerous the machloket is, how a person should avoid, avoid machloket, avoid argument, or quarrel, the fights. Try to avoid as much as possible, because and try not to even start the machloket, not to try to start the quarrel, and not to try to start the fight. If you see the fight is starting, you could sense it, that it's going to, there might be some kind of fight or argument or something. Try to stop it right away. You be the first one to stop it. You be the first one to say, "Okay, I'm not going to continue. Okay, you're right, and let's just solve the problem," and that's it. Shabbat shalom to all.